Hi, I'm Matt from Ludovox, and today we are at Essen Spiel 2016 on the Artipia booth with a designer. Hi, Vangelis.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So you're the designer of Among the Stars, among others, and Fields of Green, of which we are going to speak today. So how are you? How's the show been for you?
It's been going very well. We're very excited. People come and ask about Fields of Green all the time. They want to play it, they try out, they like it, they buy it. So we're very happy, we're excited.
Okay, so who are we in Fields of Green? Are we farmers?
So in this game we're farmers in middle of last century, you know, like 50s, 60s, 70s, that kind of era. And we're trying to build a farm. And we want to build the best farm, to the most productive one, and take care. We have our plants, we want to take care of our animals, we want to build some buildings and make a profit out of the products that of whatever we produce in the farm. So,
I'm quite sure that to measure prosperity in the 70s we use victory points, right?
Exactly. Everybody knows that. I mean, in the 70s victory points goes all the rave. So yes, this is measured by victory points, which you can gather in various ways, either by the cards themselves, by how much money you have at the end, by the abilities of the cards themselves.
Okay, and how do we get the victory points, and how do we play a turn? What choices do we have as players?
Okay, so this is a drafting game. You start with a hand of 6 cards, you pick one, you place it in front of you, and you pass the rest of the cards to the player on your left. So, but the thing is that the card that you choose is important where you will place it. Depending on where you put it, it combines with other cards, and you want to improve that and make it as productive as possible. At the beginning, you start with just 2 cards, a water tower and a silo. This is for your water, this is where you store your food, and everything else you build goes around these cards. And as the game progresses, your farm expands, you have more combinations, and you try to make it more productive. In this game, we have basically 2 resources. We have water and food. You use your water on your plants, on the fields. They produce food, and then you use that food on your animals, and the animals give you money. And you use that money to buy bigger buildings that give you more victory points. So this is sort of an engine building game.
So, for example, the barley, it costs me 1 money and 1 water to build, right? And I get 1 food for each non-cereal field within 2, so 2 of range, I suppose, and I get an additional food, and it gets me 1 victory point, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, correct. And this ability is triggered exactly when you play the card. It is an immediate ability. What's new in this game is that you have the harvest abilities that are at the end of every round, and you also have some game end abilities with a yellow frame that you check at the end of the game.
So how do we constitute the drafting stack? Is there, like, do you take 1 card of each, or is there any kind of specific setup?
So what we tried with this game is to not have a single deck out of which you draw, but we have 4 different piles, and each type of card goes into a separate pile, and you choose what you want to draw from. You have 6 cards at the beginning of every round. You can take any combination you want, as long as you take from at least 3 of the piles. So you can take 6 cards of this, but you can take 3, 1, 1, and 1, for example. And this allows you to see in your engine what you're missing and go for it. And it really changed the game, and we really liked it after that when we tried it, so it stayed.
How do you interact with other players except for drafting? Do you have direct interaction?
The theme for this game wasn't very. It didn't allow for direct confrontation. It just didn't make a lot of sense, and we knew that a lot of the players would feel bad if I was to do something bad to your farm or ruin it in a way. So we tried to avoid that direct confrontation. However, the way that the draft works, where you get to choose which cards you pick, allows you to affect the whole card pool for all the players. So if I know that you're looking field cards, I will not get any. when I pick mine at the beginning of the round. I will try to pick cards that I know our buildings, for example, are very expensive, so I know that you will not be able to build them, but I will make use of them. I will take advantage of them. So in this way, you can interact with the other players in a way, and obviously the old-fashioned draft way that you mentioned, that I know you want this card, I'll counter-draft it so that you don't get it.
When does the game end? Do we need to play a certain number of rounds, or how does it work?
We play for a total of 4 rounds. Each round is 6 turns, 6 cards. So after 40 rounds, or years as we call them in the game ends. And that's when we make a final harvest phase, and then we calculate our score using the scoring pads over there.
So Fields of Green is kind of a reboot, re-implementation of Among the Stars, right? And why did you decide to re-implement Among the Stars?
Okay, so Among the Stars was a very big hit for Artipia games, and people liked it. We made a lot of expansions, and Konstantinos Kokinis, the owner of Artipia Games, for a long time he would be joking and saying, "Oh, this game would look very good with farms and its card being a field and things like that." He was half serious, half joking, and I was always like, "Yeah, space is much cooler than that. I mean, who would want to play a farming game when you can build a space station?" However, he liked the idea, and this year, early in 2016, we were discussing about this year's main game, and he dropped the idea. He really liked it, so we decided to go with it. And right from the start, we knew that we didn't want to just do a retheming, a reskin. Okay, let's take all the abilities, change their names, put it out. We wanted to do something different. We wanted it to have its own identity. It would still be a card drafting game. You would still lay your cards on the table, but we wanted to have things that would make it unique. And during brainstorming and playtesting, we came up with a solution of the separate card types. We came up with a solution of the harvest phase. This is something that really changed the game from Among the Stars. The fact that you now had abilities that triggered at the end of every round, and you had to make sure that you had resources for those abilities. Suddenly the game became a resource management engine building game, and that was a surprise, and really it kicked in and it made us very excited about the game. And we went with it. I did a lot of research for the abilities, for how you grow some plants, how you take care of some animals, in order to make interesting abilities. We didn't just take a list of the abilities from Among the Stars and put them here. We made new ones based on the theme and on what made sense for this game. We also added these equipment tiles, which show various pieces of equipment which you put on the cards on your farm, and you can make them better, you can improve them, give them an extra ability. So it ended up being something different, familiar but different. So that was exactly what we were hoping. And
so what is the next step for you as a designer?
I like to explore different genres and different games, different type of things. But it still depends on what ideas you get, how playtesting goes, if what works, what doesn't. You may have a brilliant idea, you put it down on paper, you try it, and it just doesn't work. So the way that it goes, you're never sure. In general, I like to explore different settings, different kind of games, that sort of thing. I like to try new things whenever possible. As you see here, I ended up doing something similar, but I try to give it a new twist, to do something new while being in this familiar territory.
So is there a specific theme that you want to explore?
In games in general, or in... I'd like to work on a heavy Euro game at some point, or area control games, basically anything. I mean, I'd love to design a very fun dexterity game that people will like and enjoy. I mean, I'm all over the place, and you know how it is. You get ideas, and usually you wait until one sticks, one produces something that's playable, that's nice, that's fun, and you work on that to make it even better and make it publishable, publish-worthy.
Thank you, Vangelis. I think you have told almost everything we need to know about Fields of Green. Now we are able to play, I think. Bye bye. See you on Nudevox.
Tim, tim, taram, tiri, biri,